What up, everyone? You know what it is, man. Shady Sports Fantasy Reports. Coming a little bit later than we thought tonight. It looked like NFC Beast held over. I mean, they were going at it, and it was pretty good. So you can't stop that when it's going. They had some good topics going, but here we are, ready to talk. Week 10, the meat of it all. Let you know who's hurt, who you're gonna start, who you're gonna sit, whatever. Anyway, I'm 303 Gem Man, Shady Sports Network. I got my man Seany over here. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to him and let him get going.
Good evening, everybody. Shawnee Mon on behalf of Shady Sports Network. Me and Jem are coming at you live to talk Week 10. Had to cut off the boys over on the NFC Beast. They were battling over where OBJ should go. Who trusts him with his elbow injury? Everybody, has their own opinion. But we're here to talk fantasy, guys. We're going to get things straight for you. There's different buys going on this week, and there's a couple different battles in some backfields. There's early game, and just a couple other things to talk about. First thing I want to let everybody know is that tonight it's very important that if you have anybody from Tampa Bay or Seattle that you're wanting to give the start to, or they're sitting on your bench and you're hesitating pulling the trigger, tomorrow morning is that game overseas. And if you are on Mountain Time or Pacific Coast Time, you're going to be starting at 6:30, 7:30 in the morning. So set your lineups tonight and make sure you're locked and ready to go, because that game in Germany between Tampa Bay and Seattle is an early starter. You don't want to miss out on it just because you slept in. So that's my first bit of advice there, just to make sure you guys have your lineup set early. Set them tonight. First thing I want to get into is I got Allen number one as my quarterback, obviously this week, but it's all day to day with him right now, and we're hoping it looking like he's going to play and he's going to get the start. Now, if that's the case, you don't have to worry about any upside or downside for your normal starters over there, your lineup locks. If Allen was to sit and Case Keenum was to get the start, I would give Singletary a bump. He would get a little more upside because I think they would rely heavier on the run game. And, Diggs, his ceiling is what it is. But his floor is what you look at for that reason. Even if Case Keenum has an absolute horrible day passing, he's not a bad quarterback. You're still going to be Diggs relevant, Gabe Davis as your flex in deep leagues. So nothing really to worry about there. We hope Allen starts. That UCL, it's a weird injury. The elbow is a weird thing to play with, especially in a throwing arm. But one good thing about Allen is that he's a runner and he doesn't make very many bad decisions. And I think that he'll play within his limits. He's not a dumb guy. He's the kind of guy that wants to stay the starter. He doesn't want to hurt himself long term, so he'll be there. Murray is another. He's my number 6 quarterback this week. He's at the Rams, and he is questionable as well. It looks like he is going to play, though. But if he doesn't, just take into consideration Connor's back for them, and it looks like that he is back to his original workload. Benjamin took a backseat to him in snap counts last week. And Connor, he did look okay, but, his production wasn't as high as you wanted to see, but it was his first week back. When Connor comes back and he takes over that original role that he had, it's hard for me to not want him as a starter just because of his upside, his potential, and his ceiling. This is a guy that gets the red zone touches, and he is their goal line guy. So, touchdowns are always in his, they're not out of the question for him. And, he's a good 4.6 average yard per carry guy to start. So you can give Benjamin a rest. I don't think he's going to get any type of snap share to make a difference. He sure didn't last week. Another quarterback I wanted to talk about, I have him just outside my top 10, is Dak. He, in my opinion, his matchup this week against Green Bay at Green Bay, his matchup has a downside for me this week. I think that that Green Bay secondary and I think the Green Bay attack they're going to keep him in check, and I think it's going to fall heavily on Zeke, who's working with an injury, and then Tony Pollard, who's coming off a freaking Superman week. Um, keep an
Why is
eye
he
on
not the starter yet?
huh?
Why is he not the starter over there yet?
Man, well, that's just the thing is that Jerry Jones, when he pays the money for somebody and he's done it for him, in my opinion, Dak has done some things that he wouldn't even be my starting quarterback, but that's just the way they play over there. They put in the work. Zeke was number one. They're keeping him as a number one. And, Tony Pollard is so diverse. He's on my roster. He's sitting there on my bench. I'm waiting to fire him up. The second I hear anything about Zeke, he immediately goes in for me. The dual threat is just, yeah. I mean, he's scoring 2, 3 touchdowns a game, and these aren't from the red zone. Like he's 30 yards out and he's taking it to the house. He's a diverse runner. He can cut on a dime. I mean, if I were them and I was the head coach, I'd be making that decision all day. But it seems like when people get the most down on Zeke and they're like, no, I'm not going to start him this week, then he goes off. But they tend to share the snap share pretty 50-50 anyway. So you could give Zeke that wide receiver or that RB1, RB2, and then always throw Pollard into a flex consideration, matchup dependent. You know what I mean? So, man, over the last 24 games, Dak Prescott has thrown 14 interceptions and had 9 fumbles. And, he's missed a handful of games in between there. So that means the games that he's playing are pretty, it's inconsistent to me. And against this defense, it's a down matchup. He's in my top 15, which in any league, 12 or more, I mean, he's going to be in your starting position. I know a couple guys, one of which I'm playing, Mike Carpenter, talking to you in Sleeper. He picked up Geno Smith and had Dak Prescott on his bench and Kyler as the starter. I would have kept Kyler as a starter, but he threw in Dak last second. Now he's got Kyler Murray on his bench, and he dropped Geno Smith. And he did that because he's playing me, and Lamar's on a bye. So he put Geno out of my reach. So I have to start Garoppolo this week. So I'm putting my all my eggs in the Garoppolo basket. Let's see here. Okay, and then another thing that I wanted to talk about was Brissett. Um, Brissett has potential at Miami. Pretty much at this point, any quarterback does. Um, Josh Allen scored 26.7 points against Miami. Lamar Jackson scored 42.6 points at Miami. And then Fields, just last week, has 42 points against Miami. So I think any quarterback that's playing against this defense and has got an arm on him, he's got upside. Now, Brissett, he's going to be way outside your top 15. But, on a week like this where, you got no Burrow, you have no Lamar Jackson, you got Stafford out in concussion protocol, you got Allen as a question mark, you got Murray as a question mark. Mariota had a decent game, got you 17 if you picked him up off waivers. I was against him, but he actually pulled together a decent game. Nothing happened in the running game, as you saw. None of those guys scored more than 3 points. And Drake London had the majority of the work, scored 14.8. But if you're looking at the waiver wire and you see Brissett on there, don't shy away from him, because most matchups against Miami, most quarterbacks have done surprisingly well. Miami, they're known for, getting wins and scoring points. But most people don't look at that the games they win, they've all been high scoring and very close. So quarterbacks have success against them, um, but their offense is phenomenal. Obviously, Tyreek Hill's number one going into the week. So, and you got Waddle in coming in at 7 for me too. He's in the top 10. So to have 2 receivers in the top 10, you're what's up, fellas? Brissett is solid. Oh, Sam. Yes, sir. Yeah, especially with this matchup. Now this week, like I said, if Allen's out and Case Keenum's in, Singletary gets a bump for me. But with Allen starting, we're going to avoid Singletary because Minnesota hasn't allowed more than 15 PPR points since week 5, and no more than I think it was 18 since week 3. So if you're looking to put in a running back that's going to give you RB1, RB2 numbers, you're going to look away from Singletary if Allen's getting to start against this Minnesota D. They've just proved that, you can't score the points against them. So, you don't want any mediocre going on. You want to get the best bang for your buck, and Singletary's not going to be it against this D. The stats prove against it, I should say, this week. And then let's go through. And we already answered one of my questions. One of my questions for this week was, what do you think, Pollard or Zeke? And we nailed on that one. And now here's another one for me that I keep harping on, but it's still, I really want to see what happens this week. Both outside because of the matchup of the top 15, but Swift and Williams are side by side in the rankings for me at 17 and 18. And they are giving the red zone and goal line work to Williams. And Swift he's coming off. Last season was absolutely amazing. I think he finished top 5. This week he started out like the freight train that wasn't going to be stopped, and then he got hurt. And even while he was still in there, Swift was still scoring touchdowns and fantasy relevant. And now it looks like Swift has started to take the edge and get the better part of the 50-50 on the snaps. And I think this week is going to be a big, you're either going to know that they're going to be 50-50 and you can start them both, or one's going to get the edge over the other and start to push one out the other way. So that's another big one to look at. And then, Jim, I got a question for you. What do you attribute to? So normally Chubb and Hunt, they existed simultaneously in that Browns backfield and both proved to be fantasy relevant. Do you think that there's a reason why Hunt's his production has gone down? Do you think it's because he didn't get a trade? Do you think I can't figure out for the life of me, because he's still getting the touches. It's just something's there that's Kareem Hunt doesn't seem like Kareem Hunt. What do you think?
I mean, you know, you see running backs decline quicker than most, so it's not necessarily surprising. But I don't think it would be attributed to him wanting out of Cleveland, because when you want to play better, so you get a better contract,
Right.
you don't get lowballed. But I mean, Chubb is just killing it right now. I mean, is
You're
there
right for the
really any
pass.
room? Is Hunt even able to find a rhythm back there? It doesn't seem like it. So, I think he's been more so relegated to a true, backup running back right now, instead of the 1-2 punch that they've been over the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. Good point for sure. I mean, this is one that's been on my mind, and not just mine. I've been watching a couple other um, podcasts, and you watch the guys on ESPN, they're all wondering the same thing too, because Kareem Hunt, on a good day, I mean, he'd have a better day than Chubb and get less touches than he would. And he's a great pass catching back, and his playmaking ability is what makes him, the shit. He could go out there and he could make that 50 plus yard play and take it to the house, and that's where he generated all his ceiling work. That's where he got the upside that he got to be put in lineups, even as not the true starter.
But I feel like we see running backs just fall off quicker than most. That's why
Yeah.
they don't get those huge contracts, or those third deals, because usually like their fall off is, you're not even going to see it coming. It's like, well, damn, this dude's, carrying, 2.5, 3 yards a carry. What's going on? So,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a situation like that for sure. I mean, I feel like we're definitely going to see a different Browns team once Deshaun comes back. But you know, I can tell you, I really don't watch many Browns games.
Right. I follow just enough on the fantasy aspect to wonder, why the production has fallen off. And then another who's similar, but why. And It's CEH. It's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He started out this season with a fire under his ass. He was putting up. I think he was close to number one. I know he was top three week one, and doing just as well the weeks after. And for some reason, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Kansas City, they start, all right, well, now we'll give the start to Pacheco, and now
Yeah.
we'll give the start to McKinnon, and now they're running this committee with four running backs and making basically none of them fantasy relevant, which sucks because all four of them, if put in a situation where they were getting 50% more of the snap work, they would be out there doing good things for people's rosters.
Yeah, but when was the last time you could depend on a Kansas City running back?
I mean, truly, it's not going to be in this era.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
you
Like, they're
know?
not really known for their running game, and I mean, this should have been the season for them to really break out with the running game, but that's what they do. They run through, 3 to 4 running backs throughout a season. They'll cut a running back before they go to the playoffs and sign a new one.
Yeah, it's crazy, and they kind of seems like they do the same thing with wide receivers, but Patrick Mahomes is just so good that he spreads the love out and he makes everybody look like they get their share.
Yeah.
That's
It's
why.
it's the New England model, man. You got your quarterback, you got your tight end, you got your solid defensive line pieces, and you run with that. Everybody else is replaceable.
Yeah,
There's plenty of players out there to replace them, and that's kind of what they do is they,
it's always
reload.
falling into place around it. Yeah.
Pittsburgh, I feel like Pittsburgh was doing that for a while with their wide receivers for sure.
Oh
Like
yeah,
they
yeah.
were keeping them for a while. They had oh man, what's his name that broke dude's jaw? Hunt Heinz Ward.
Oh, Heinz Ward. Yeah.
Heinz Ward was there for a while, but like their star receivers, I feel like they, get through the first contract and maybe half of the second one, and then they're on to the next one.
We always seem to have at least one big star that sticks around for a good little while, or two. There's always been at least one star wide receiver. With Antonio Brown, your Heinz Wards, your
Mhm.
Ernie Mills, your Lynn Swans, there always is like someone that's insane. And right now, Claypool was a big part of that for a while, but now that Claypool's gone, it's time to see Deontay Johnson step up with that target share because technically he is the man right now. Now Pickens, he's a great rookie, and him and Kenny Pickett seem to have a good chemistry. So I really want to see those guys keep it going for sure. All right, time to get into a little segment I like to call my biggest disappointments for the season so far. Dun dun dun.
Oh man.
Jim, give me your biggest disappointment
Oh
so
man.
far. Like I'm talking your top tier of guys that you drafted that you wish that you would not have used that draft pick the way you did.
Well, I mean, I really don't. I would say, dang, I didn't even remember who I drafted at quarterback. That's the thing. I just burn and turn.
You got Josh Allen and Sleeper,
Yeah,
and
and sleeper that was good, but and ESPN, that's the main one.
I can't remember who you have in ESPN.
Well, right now I got Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr, but I don't think that's who I started with. I mean, honestly, as of right now, I don't really have any disappointments because everybody's performing at where I saw them performing, or I have like just one or two that are overperforming. Like,
Yeah,
oh
you're one of those lucky ones. You
yeah.
are. You're doing good in both leagues. That doesn't surprise me.
Well, actually, I take that back. Let me go to my Yahoo league. I'll tell you over there. Jonathan Taylor.
There you go. Okay. See, he's number
Jonathan
two.
Taylor.
He's number two on my list.
Yeah.
Number one on my list is Najee Harris.
Oh yeah. Well, that's not his fault though. I feel like they're just
Well,
not using him.
the thing is, man, is that the numbers show different. He's getting the same amount of touches and the same amount of targets,
Yeah.
but he's only averaging like 2.6 yards a carry. He hasn't had a run greater than 20 yards this entire season, and he hasn't scored more than 13 fantasy points in any outing. I think he has one, maybe two touchdowns this entire season. Now,
Just
last season, I
one.
think his numbers were up a lot more in the passing game, and that's what made him. And you had him last season. You can vouch. He was a beast.
Hmm.
He was a lineup lock every week, no doubt. And this season, to watch a guy who was projected at 18 to 20 every game last season to only be projected at 12 going in, that hurts, man, especially as a Steeler fan. And then yeah, Taylor hurts because he was a number one draft pick. And he came out really good, but then next couple weeks that followed were and then he got injured. And then they got rid of Hines anyway. So you had Deion Jackson who came in and was RB1 when he stepped in, except for this last game where he got hurt. So this week we're going to see if the Jonathan Taylor you drafted at the number one ADP
Hopefully.
is going to, if he can come back and put together a playoff charge.
I got more too now that we're going through it. Now that I think
Okay.
about it, I do have some fools.
All right.
Man,
Show me Yahoo.
I'm gonna tell nah
Yahoo.
over the sleeper, bro. Shoot. Michael Thomas, the entire, starting receiving core for the Chargers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They
But those
all
are all due to injury, are they not?
Yeah, but it hurts the same though. I still, you still use hot picks on
It's a
those guys.
disappointment. I'll give you that. It's a disappointment, but yeah, oh yeah, you're a Keenan Allen guy. You have been consistent throughout the years that we've played. You've
Because
been
he's consistent every year,
loyal as
man.
hell.
He's that dude always, and normally
He
he's
really
not
is.
hurt. Well, I guess he usually has been hurt the past few years
Well,
for a few
not
games.
that, not to this extent.
Not like this though. Yeah, that's
But
what I'm saying.
this is a reason behind that though is because he came out in that game where he decided that he wanted to be done and go on IR. He came out and he felt as if he pushed himself to his 100% limit that he was going to hurt himself worse. So he made the smart decision to say, "Put me on our IR. I really want to recover from this." To me, that shows the smarts of a veteran. Now it sucks for us even more because he's missing more time. But if he can come back healthier and make a comeback as a 100%, you know, healthy wide receiver, then that's what we need to see. Mike Williams, I mean, dude, I started out the season with him last year, and I actually ended up trading Mike Davis and Mike Williams in week 4 for Jonathan Taylor last season. Because Williams he started out scoring like 23, then he scored 27, then he was like 32, and then week 4 I think he was like 31. Now I was like, all right, I gotta unload this dude while he's hot, because I was like, there's no way he's staying this good. And at that point Taylor was just like mediocre, so I did Mike Davis and him, and I got Taylor. And then I ended up finishing out the season in a championship, but that would work good. And then who else did you say? Oh, Michael Thomas. Dude, Michael Thomas, when he first started out for the Saints, he was my ride or die, man. I mean, that was the number one wide receiver in all the NFL and fantasy.
Hmm.
And when he said he was 100% healthy coming back this year, I tried to grab him in every draft that I could. I wasn't lucky enough. And until he got hurt, he was putting up one wide receiver one numbers. He was doing awesome.
He was. He was. Now it's Olave's team now, man.
Yeah. Olave and Kamara back at it. And they're looking good too. And then I got another one on here, and I guess it is due to injury or whatever that person was. Cam Akers. I love Cam Akers, and I wanted to see him do well, and I wanted to see him play this season. But when he has played, it hasn't been great. And when he hasn't been out there, there's been personal reasons or injury or disagreements with Sean McVay. And then Darnell Mooney, who I built my bench around, who I thought was going to be,
I
that.
got one. I got a big one. Russ.
Oh, Danger Russ. Oh, man.
Jeff
And
Russ.
that one bangs home so hard, too, man, because being here in Denver, being a Denver fan, dude, there was so much hype coming into this season that this division was going to be the division. Their division was going to be so tight that it was, and then, dude, I mean, we all were like, Broncos will be number 1, Chiefs will be number 2, Chargers will be number 3, and
Yeah.
where the Raiders are. But,
We were right
like,
about the Raiders.
Yeah, now we had it pegged all wrong, man. It's just, but I think that's what happens when you come in and put unfair pressure on a situation we knew nothing about. You see the big deal, and you saw what he used to do with TK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and you know, um, you're like, there's no way he can't come here and do the same thing. We have just the same amount of talent around him as that he would in Seattle, if not better. You know, so I was like, damn. Oh yeah, Waller is way high on that list, and now the fact that he's on IR is even bigger. I agree right there, 100%. Him and Pitts. If we're gonna talk tight end,
No, Pitts has some at least some moments though.
dude,
Let's
I
see.
I wish there's no bone in my body that wishes in any draft I had this season that I wasted a pick on Kyle Pitts.
I did. He's
None.
the 7th ranked tight end on PFF.
Yeah, but look around.
Let's
Where's the
see.
top tier? Where's that end? And then that puts him at 7. You might as well have him in 17th.
The top tier ends with Travis Kelsey.
The
He's at
top
number
tier,
one.
no, top tier is Travis Kelce and Dallas Goddard. And
Ye-
then from there, it goes like Hawkinson, Ertz, Everett, Ingram, Schultz. And then it goes down from there to Fant, Knox.
You got Fant over Pitts.
No, I mean, no, because
You got
of
Knox over Pitts. Knox doesn't even get the ball. He gets the ball like 3. He gets what?
I rank Pitts every week in my top 10 with the hope that he does what he is good at.
And every other week he does that.
All right. Well, 4.6 last night or on Thursday didn't help nobody.
Hey, Thursday night games, man.
Dude, you know what I don't care about? I don't care if he scores another touchdown. Just give him 12 fucking targets a game so he can catch 8 of them for 100 yards and make him relevant, dude. You
Well,
know?
it's hard when he's the only. Yeah, I don't know. He's not the only thing they got, but Mariota makes it seem like that.
Well, yeah, because watching that dude play is like watching Tom chase Jerry around. Little mouse is always scurrying around.
That's the thing, man. It's just a lot of things due to circumstances this
There
season.
are,
I
and
guess every season.
it's this season has been more sporadic than most between injuries and trades and who's the guy and having deep committees. Like, dude, they're building these committees of running backs that are 3 and 4 backs deep now, and you can't do anything with that. You can't, because nobody, it's rough. Galladay's gonna rejoin the Giants. How you feel about that? Kenny G.
Yeah, we'll see.
I hope he
We'll
does
see.
good
I
things.
mean, Danny Dimes is starting to heat up, so that gives him another target. So
A
that should be a
good
good
target.
thing.
Kenny
Yeah.
Galladay used to be mad fantasy relevant. Good. Big body, sure hands. I think, and then Debo's back for San Fran. So now San Fran is my highlight team of this week because right now we're going to get to see the Fab Four together. We're going to get to see CMC, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Debo Samuel all on the same offense go off, dude. I have a feeling that this is going to be pretty awesome to watch. I think it's gonna be super freaking fun to watch, man.
You don't think it's going to be a case of too many Chiefs on the field?
Mm, against the Chargers secondary, against the Chargers run defense,
Yeah, true.
I think they're gonna have a fucking field day. I think they're gonna have a great game. I think it might take them a while to find out how they want to do it, Dude, but you got players on this team like CMC and Debo. You could write a whole freaking half of a playbook of trick plays just for those two dudes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just think that the upside and the potential of that offense has now skyrocketed immensely. Because everybody would, okay, say it doesn't work like everybody thinks, and they turn all their attention to Debo and CMC and try to stop the run of the short pass, and then all of a sudden, Kittle's getting 10 catches a game for 2 touchdowns and 150 yards. I think no matter where they attack, that leaves them an opening at some position to, prosper.
Yeah, that is true.
I think it's going to be sweet to watch. And then another question mark for me. I know that Kyron Williams was activated from IR, and we're not seeing Cam Akers. We're not seeing Daryl Henderson do much of anything. Kyron Williams was one of these guys that Shefty talked about. I'm modeling my bench around this guy. I can't wait to see what he does in LA for the Rams. Well, they activated him from IR, and they got 21 days to activate him and put him on the roster. Now, he didn't get activated last week, and I haven't heard anything about this week. We got to get this guy into the backfield. This is another guy with the potential to be picked up off of wires and put in your RB1 spot if the potential is what has been said. So, everybody, keep an eye on Kyron Williams. If you want to get a leg up now, I know he's available in a lot of leagues. If you got room on your bench to stash a running back with mad potential, Shefty endorsed, Yates endorsed, Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams. All right. With Waller out, you got Moreau having some upside in the tight end position. Um, let's see here. What is that even say? I hate how I can't read my own. Okay. Oh, so Higby has an upside at the tight end position this week because the Cards um have 8 different tight ends this season. They've given 10 plus points to tight ends this season. So that's a cool stat for tight ends against the Cardinals. And that'll be Tyler Higby this week. So he gets an upside for me simply based on the fact that statistically every tight end that plays against them has at least double digit fantasy points, and that in the tight end region, unless you have Kelsey or Goddard, is few and far between. Eagles defense, obviously the number one defense this week, streaming. If you guys need some options this week, I hope you avoided the Falcons defense because where they ended up in Thursday Night Football, you did not want on your roster. Actually, the Raiders have a chance this week to do well on defense. Saints, Titans, Giants, Cowboys, Cardinals, and Broncos all have good defensive matchups this week. If you see them available on waivers, go ahead and snatch them up. Let's see. All right, let's get into wide receivers. Juju, you got the upside this week. Juju Smith-Schuster coming in at my 15th ranked wide receiver this week. I like the matchup. I like what he's been doing in previous weeks. Even with Kadarius Toney added, Juju seems to have a solid role in that offense. He seems to have put his foot in and has his spot, and he gets an upside for me this week. I think he's going to have another great week. And another receiver I wanted to talk about that people may be frustrated with, but you still got to consider him a lineup lock. You still start him every week. Tomorrow morning, Tampa Bay plays Seattle in Germany. And Mike Evans has been pretty consistent, but I think that Chris Godwin, this is going to be his week. He has yet to see the end zone, and I think this is a week Chris Godwin gets himself a TD.
Oh
All
shit.
right. Chris Godwin. I'm putting it out there into the universe. TD for Chris Godwin this week. Let's see. Olave, he gets an upside from me this week against the Pittsburgh defense. That secondary. That defense is good, but I don't know, man. It's sad for me to talk about. But Olave, he's been doing really well, and he's going to continue to. He has upside this week. McLaurin, downgrade this week for me. He's outside of my top 20. The Eagles allow the second fewest PPR points to wide receivers. It's just not looking good for anybody who starts against that Eagles D against that secondary this season. Palmer for the Chargers this week. Huge upside for me. If he's available in your leagues, grab him up, put him in that starter position, wide receiver 2, flex. No Allen, no Williams.
Nope.
Gerald Everett has the upside, like I said too, but Palmer, he showed that he can be consistent. He's taken that role. Now that they've been out, he's been mad fantasy relevant, and I think he'll continue to do so.
Do you think that will? Do you think situations like that will create a bit of? I don't know. Do you think it'll?
Hostility?
Yeah. Do you think it'll kind of start to create some questions over there about their wide receiver room with Keenan Allen already getting up there in age? Like
Possibly, but I don't know, man. It's Keenan Allen when he's on the field shows, and Mike Williams when he's on the field shows that there's no way they're done yet. Now when
yeah,
you're
but
when you're
not
the
the
one making those decisions and paying the money, and you see the younger group coming up and able to get it done just as well, I'm sure it's in the back of their head. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it is, but I don't know. I guess I can only speak from a fan or a fantasy
yeah
prospect. I
yeah
don't know if I can. I guess. I mean, see, you just thinking of it right there. Just, I mean, it probably is something they're thinking about. But
yeah. Like you
when you
said, they
think,
need defense.
yeah, but when you think about it too, though, I mean, how many seasons has Austin Eckler been in the NFL now?
What, like 6?
6, maybe more. I mean, for a starting running back, I mean, he's got to be getting up there too. But he's still putting up them numbers and winning games for them, scoring 2 touchdowns a game.
I'm just saying, you got a good quarterback, a good young quarterback, seems like a good time to start fresh,
Yeah,
some
yeah. I
talent to
mean,
grow
I
with
I
them.
don't know. I guess I would have to take a look at what Keenan Allen and Mike Williams' contract situation is. I don't know
Uh,
if they're in the middle of contract right now or if they just re-signed for a year or what their deal is contract wise. Because that would probably be the big decision maker. Like if their contracts are both up this year or next year, but then I could see them going somewhere else too if they don't want to be done. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean the Chargers. I'm sure they're thinking because I'm sure they're sick of sitting where they've been sitting in the middle of that division for the last how many years, seasons.
Allen signed through 2024, but I mean,
Okay, so
his dead money turns
him.
his dead money turns into like 7 million in 2023 and 3 million in 2024 around there. So, I mean, it's not. I don't know.
He'll probably play out that contract and possibly be done.
Yeah, he'll probably. Yeah, he might as well. I mean,
You
I
made
would.
your money. You put in mad seasons. You're probably going to be a Hall of Famer.
You think so?
I consider Keenan Allen a Hall of Famer all day. I put him
Yeah.
up there with like close to a Marvin Harrison, dude. Wouldn't you?
He
Or
is
like a
super
Demarius
consistent.
Thomas?
Yeah. Yeah, I would put him up there. Yeah, they're both signed through. No, yeah, they're both signed through 2024.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude, and there's teams that would kill for the big body and the sure hands of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, dude. At this point, you look at everybody, all the teams that are struggling to get a passing game together. People wish they had what Herbert has as far as weaponry.
Hmm.
But yeah, Palmer, he looks freaking amazing, dude. He's an all over the field threat too.
Even that fourth receiver they have is not looking bad. What's Carter?
Carter, yep, yeah, yeah. No, he is definitely.
I mean, they just got a solid. Not saying I don't know.
Yeah, no, not to be an immediate decision, but definitely got. They always got the plans in the mix. Oh,
Yeah,
and
just how old is
uh,
Palmer?
what?
How long has Palmer been in the league?
I think this is his third season.
Uh,
Second season? Is this his second season with them or third? Because I remember here, I thought last season was his rookie season because when he came out, it was like big hype, big hype.
hmm.
But maybe that was just with the Chargers. Oh, here's another good upside for you this week. You throw Adam Thielen in at your flex spot. Over the last 7 games, he has 7+ targets, and he's bringing them all in, and he has goal line looks. So I know Adam Thielen has been a fish that has been taken from the hook and thrown back into the waiver pond by a lot of people. But by all means, if you can grab him this week and start him at your flex position, please do so. I think he has a lot of upside this week.
Would you start him over Ayuk?
I would this week, yeah. This week, yeah. Until we see what that group of 4 is going to do and what their dynamic is going to be, I'll go with the sure thing. And the
What
sure
about
thing,
Palmer?
yeah, I go with Palmer too.
No, I'm saying over Thielen. Which one would you
Um,
start?
I would go with Palmer over Thielen because I like Herbert better. I like Herbert better than Cousins. And matchup. The matchup is better.
Cousins he's just like the best average quarterback we've ever seen.
Average Joe's gymnasium.
Yeah, he excels in games that don't matter, and then
It's funny how it happens like that. But he has proven throughout the course of his career to be a solid quarterback. No,
a
I miss it.
serviceable quarterback.
I miss a quarterback, Alex Smith. Now that was a guy I used to rely on. I used to love to watch for the Chiefs. Now, of course, I love Patty Mahomes, but all right, let's see injuries this week. Of course, we got Allen and Williams, Stafford and concussion protocol. Zeke is still questionable. Allen is still questionable. Njoku is still questionable. Taylor had a regression in his ankle and is still questionable, but looking to suit up. And Murray is looking to suit up as well, but will be a game time decision. So, as far as that goes, that's all something to keep in mind. And let's see here. Oh, Cade Otton. Cade Otton gets an upside from me this week as well for Tampa Bay. 8 or more tight ends with 10+ points allowed by Seattle as well. So Cade Otton gets an upside in the tight end position for me. He's probably a waiver grab in case you got Waller on IR, or Njoku doesn't play, or, you got a tight end on a bye this week. Andrews is out. The position is thin, my friends. And I got one thing that I wanted to talk about as well. So we watched that New Orleans game where Taysom Hill came in and was taking snaps, throwing the ball, and scrambling, pretty much controlling the game script. And he had 3 touchdowns in that one game. And that was such a winning formula. And they blew that game out of the water. And then all of a sudden, they just completely stopped that. Now, he comes in every now and then to try and get a first down, or they give him 1 or 2 carries a game, no more passing. What do you think New Orleans is just comfortable with Dalton at the quarterback position, throwing to Olave and having Kamara back there? Are they confident that they can do that enough where they're just completely cutting Taysom Hill's role like that?
Well, I mean, Taysom Hill is just nothing. I mean, it's just a flashy Tim Tebow. I don't think they're comfortable, but they feel that Andy Dalton is an NFL quarterback, whereas Taysom Hill, that's gonna work like that every couple of games. You're not gonna come out every week and do that. Teams are gonna shut that down,
Right,
in the
they're
second
looking for
week.
it. They're looking for
Exactly.
it.
So you will have those moments where he will show flash. I mean, but I just feel like New Orleans they're just waiting for their future quarterback, and they
Yeah,
know it's not Taysom Hill, and
Jameis
they,
Winston.
they have 2 backups right now, or 2 serviceable quarterbacks in Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton, so they can ride them until their quarterback comes along. They don't have to go out and find a quarterback.
They're sitting better than a couple people who are struggling to find a quarterback right now.
Exactly.
AKA Atlanta, Carolina, uh, if you want to say the Patriots, maybe Pittsburgh. I mean, there's a couple teams that I wish had a lot better options at quarterback. Oh, and one thing that tells me that Allen is going to start tomorrow, they did not bring a backup for Case Keenum up off the practice squad. So if
Uh,
they didn't bring up a third guy, that kind of tells you that they have the confidence that Allen is going to be out there. So that's just a little cushion padding on the owners of Allen's bums that you're probably going to have your guy this week. So be happy, but just hope he doesn't overdo it.
yeah, that's my thoughts. Is like I don't.
I think
I
that
need him down the stretch. I don't want him to.
I think he's smart enough that if he knew something was wrong and he knows he's going to make the playoffs, if he wasn't ready, I hope to say he was be smart enough to be like, let Keenum play weeks 10 and 11, and I'll come back in 12 when I know I'm 100%. Or he could just be hungry and ready to go. But I think he's a smart enough guy. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and the credit to know that he knows his abilities.
We'll see. We will see. Or maybe
So,
they're just trying to, confuse Minnesota so Minnesota doesn't know who to prep for, and they're going to wait till the last minute and announce Keenum as a starter.
yeah, maybe. All right. So since we haven't had any questions this week, Jem, so me and Big Daddy in our sleeper league.
Yeah.
All right. So look, you know how he put Kelsey out on the trade block?
Yeah, I saw y'all's chat.
Did you see what we were chatting about tonight? So I offered him Foreman and Goddard for Kelsey straight up. And he was like, well, what do you give me for Cooper Kupp and Travis Kelsey? And I was like, I'll give you Kamara, Goddard, and Melvin Gordon or Brandon Cooks, whichever one you want. And he was like, I'll take Eckler, Foreman, and or Eckler, Goddard, and Foreman for Cup and Kelsey. I told him, I was like, dude, Austin Eckler has been like the godsend of my roster, dude. Like he's putting up more points than Cooper Cup on a weekly basis. I was like, there's no way. And then he says to me, he's like, well, you're offering me Cooks, who's not even playing because he got traded for a number one wide receiver. I said, no, I'm giving you Kamara for Cup, and I'm giving you Goddard for Kelsey. It's the number 2 tight end for the number 1 tight end, and a running back who has just as much upside as Cooper Cup does right now. Cooper Cup doesn't have any more than 21, 24 points, and he has some weeks where he's at 14 and 17. You know what I mean? And so he said he's going to sleep on it. So I'm going to find out whether or not I'm going to be the proud new owner of a Cooper Cup and a Travis Kelsey or not.
It is called Sleeper.
Right? I do enjoy that league, but the ESPN is the big money league, and that's the one where I can't, man, like.
Why would he want to get rid of Cup and Kelsey, though?
Dude, have you seen his running backs?
No, let me look at him.
He has Rashad White. I think Rashad White, and I think he might have ATN. That might be his best running back might be ATN.
He has Rashad White. He has Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, see, he has no running back at all. Look at his bench, nothing. He's got no RB.
Jabba, yeah.
And
I'm just saying.
Who?
I don't know, man. I feel like receivers been holding their own too this season.
Well, Cup is like the only good receiver that he has, and he's trying to put him up.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I don't know, man. That's like his team.
I know. Well,
Mahomes.
Besides Mahomes and Kelsey, but Kelsey would go in that deal. But he would get Goddard. I mean, that's an even trade. Goddard has been right there with Kelsey this whole season.
I guess.
But, dude, ESPN is where I'm finding my struggles, dude. Like, I thought I was having trouble with Sleeper, but I'm not.
Bro, he has to drop somebody.
I know he's got a guy on IR who needs to come off. So yeah, he's got to dump
Uh,
someone from his bench. I was
hopefully,
gonna tell him that too.
hopefully it drops Mitchell so I can pick him up.
He won't drop Mitchell. He just got healthy. Mitchell, so he needs an RB. I hope he's that silly. He must be crazy.
What were
Yeah,
you
I
saying
think
about ESPN?
ESPN is where I'm like, I can't make the right decision off my bench. Every week I make the decision. I'm like, yeah, I'm good with it. Like I decided to start Moore, and I was gonna start Thielen this week instead. And Moore got me 6.8, and now Thielen has all this upside, and I'm kicking myself in the ass. But I got to get rid of Deion Jackson because Taylor's back and Jackson's hurt. But there's nothing on the waiver that looks interesting. So I'm just waiting for the next injury or, whatever to come about so I can make a move. But I really got to keep my rankings up in that league to stay in that playoff contention for that money. That's big money in that league, man. And right now I'm out of the winners bracket because Aaron Knight has more points fielded than me, but we have the same record. So I'm at 55% and he's at 58%. And you're just above him, I think, at 60. And then it's you, Regan, Mike Carpenter, and Aaron, even though Aaron's technically in third and I'm tied for first. It's
Yeah,
bullshit.
I'm in
I
second right now, holding on by
know,
a thread.
dude.
But
I
I play
know.
I play Carpenter this week, man, and I don't know. I need a miracle.
You
I
got
need
it,
some.
dude. As much as I want to say, like, I hope that because that division is doing worse, so him winning would help me. I just,
It
I,
wouldn't though. I don't think because it would put him and Aaron over me and you.
it would, he wouldn't put Aaron over us.
I think so. If him and
Aaron
Aaron
is
both
two
win,
and oh, Aaron. Okay, okay, not Chris. Oh, it might.
yeah, if
You're
they
right.
both win, because it just might have their whole division, dude. So
So either way, me and you just have to win.
we gotta win out, bro. Like
I'm playing Chris this week. He's 2-7, and I've never lost to him yet. So
he has a squad though.
I haven't lost to him yet. I'm not gonna. It's not gonna start now.
Let me see.
I beat him both times last season and the first week of this season. Chris he's been non-existent in the chats lately. He's normally all over it. I wonder where he's at.
Uh, Probably on
Must
some
just
island somewhere.
selling houses left and right.
Right?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've talked fantasy. We haven't. Let's see. Should we make a shirt with this thumbnail on it? Yes, Sam. We're gonna put out a whole line of Shady Sports shirts from the top to bottom.
Shady
Fantasy,
sports merch.
NFC, Eagles, Broncos, Steelers, all Shady Sports Network edition, bro. But pretty much a wrap on tonight's show. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to inbox Sed or myself. I'm at Shawnee Monahan on Facebook, Shawnee_Monahan on Instagram. On behalf of the Shady Sports Network, thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like what you see, please subscribe to the Shady Sports Network here on YouTube and give us a follow on Facebook. We're on Twitch, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Insta, Facebook. You can find us
Everywhere.
everywhere. And right now, guys, if you download the Current Bank app, if you're looking to do online banking and you qualify for their direct deposit, if you do the code Shady, I believe it is, they will deposit $50 into your account. Just for saying that you're with us, the network here. That's the Current Bank app. And we thank each and every one of you. God bless you. Have a great week 10. Remember what I said. Set your rosters tonight. Tampa Bay and Seattle start the day off at 7:30 in the morning Mountain Standard, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 on the left coast. And we also hope that everybody living down in Florida and had to deal with the hurricane is all safe and sound. And we also want to thank all of the veterans out there for their service over this past Veterans Day. Gemini, on behalf of you, Mike, everybody, we appreciate your service. Thank you for what you guys did for this country. We love yous. And I'm going to switch it over to Gem for the sign off. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, happy Veterans Day to all the vets out there in Florida. Stay safe. My family's down there, so I hope they're doing good. I think they're doing good. They're in Central Florida. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like you said, you can find us everywhere. Shady Sports Network. Hit Johnny M up, hit me up at Said Sells Homes or at Shady Sports Network. You can send us questions, man, throughout the week. You want us to talk about anything, take a look at your roster, get it over to us. We'd be happy to look at that and throw it in our show. We're trying to do 2 shows every week. We're trying to put one out Tuesday or Wednesday nights, and then another one Friday and Saturday for the Sunday game. So thank you guys for watching. We'll keep it going. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share. And it was fun. Have a good night.
Peace.